All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to New York City. Today, in part of us discovering and exploring every notable neighborhood in New York City, I've come down to one of New York City's most underrated neighborhoods, Harlem. I'm basically going to be providing you guys with an everything you need to know guide about this awesome neighborhood today that has great food, good music, and amazing history. So what I want you guys to do before we start this episode is subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single episode of this. Before we do anything else, let's roll the intro. Alright, so first and foremost, I want to welcome you guys to the awesome neighborhood of Harlem. I'll be honest with you guys, I've only ever explored here like 2 or 3 times in my life, and I don't know much about this neighborhood, so I'm excited to do a lot of research and investigation as we go around this neighborhood. One of the things with Harlem in New York is it has this sort of stigma, I think, with tourists that is a very dangerous area. It used to be one of the more rougher areas of New York, but because of recent years and people trying to kind of clean up Harlem, it has become way, way safer, and I would say it's just pretty much safe now. I feel totally comfortable walking around here. So today we're going to be exploring a lot of good food, cool music, cool culture, and lots of amazing churches. There are crazy, amazing churches and architecture on every corner here in Harlem. So we're just gonna begin and explore. So because there's so many churches today, and I'm not gonna be able to give all of them a lot of time, but this is St. Martin's Episcopal Church. It is a really amazing looking church. Super, I guess, like Gothic looking architecture. And we have another really cool one just across the street. All right, this church right behind me now is the New York Seventh-day EPHESUS Adventist Church. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but another awesome piece of architecture, literally just across the street from the other church. The boulevard that I'm walking down right now is called Malcolm X Boulevard, and this intersects with 125th Street, which is kind of the main drag here in Harlem. But right next to me right now is another famous spot. It's called the Harlem Shake, and it is like an old classic looking diner. All right, so probably the most famous site in Harlem, the Apollo Theater, is a place where you can catch some live music and live shows. It is an awesome place to come and check out. It is a very historic theater. Famous American musicians came right out of there, had their first shows, so it is a really, really famous spot, something definitely to check out when you're here in Harlem. We've now jumped to an area called Morningside Heights, which is technically still in the greater Harlem area. It's just not in central Harlem where we were. Harlem is actually made up of a bunch of different areas within Harlem, the bigger neighborhood. We're really only visiting 2 sites here. So this right here is General Grant's monument. It is the largest mausoleum in the entirety of the United States. It is a monument dedicated to General Grant. Also, because I'm coming here on a snow day, or a day right after it snowed, it is incredibly beautiful, the snow, especially if you take a look from kind of the end of the mall here. Now as well, sitting right by the mausoleum and this path is the Riverside Church. This is another expansive church here in Harlem. It just looks awesome, and it's sitting right by the church. I'm gonna try to get a better view of this place because it's being obstructed by the sun right now. So I was able to just walk through the church right now. Oh my goodness, that was an insanely beautiful church from the inside. It is so big. Somebody who's been to the UK and England specifically many times, the closest feeling to this right now that I'm feeling is like Oxford and Cambridge. If there's any Brits watching, you'd probably agree with me. Pretty crazy area. So I'm now going to catch an Uber into an area called Strivers Row. This is kind of like north central Harlem. The only reason I'm doing that, I'm usually into walking all this stuff, but it is really cold today and there's snow all over the ground, which is making my job a lot more difficult. Another famous church here is the ABYSSINIAN Baptist Church. I hope I'm saying that right. There's another famous church up here, kind of in the Strivers Row area. And now basically, because I've taken one Uber up here, I'm going to start walking just south back towards central Harlem. And hopefully by the time I get back down there, because it's still early morning right now, there will be some food options open because I want to get some soul food. I'm hungry and this is the place to do it. So that's what we're going to be heading towards today. On the note of food, I see some yellow snow. A lot of people have told me that it's really tasty. You guys think I should try it? Should I have some? I'm from Miami, so I've never had yellow snow before. You guys let me know. That's right over here. You have a cool kind of famous music venue called Shrine. Once again, for purposes besides like food and culture and museums and whatever there is in history here in Harlem, it's also a great place to go out if you want to hear live jazz and you want to hear really good music. Shrine is just one of those places. They kind of do expertise in world music. And you know, music and food from different cultures. So I'm obviously here in the morning, so I can't check it out, but it is a location you don't want to miss. So right behind me is the St. Aloysius Catholic Church. It is a crazy looking Catholic church, amazing architecture on the outside. Once again, we can't give all these churches TLC because there's so many of them, but if you're coming to Harlem to take cool pictures of cool churches, this is the place to do it. So this one's a little weird one. It's kind of here in the middle of the road. It's kind of like a little island in between 2 streets. This is called the Tree of Hope. The sign of it says, the original Tree of Hope, beloved by the people of Harlem. It says, you asked for a Tree of Hope, so here it is. Best wishes. I don't know what this is in reference to, but it's a cool little art piece. I heard I gotta check it out. It's a kind of a beloved piece of Harlem art. All right, another stop. If you're a tourist here and you're looking to learn a little more about the history, you have the National Jazz Museum here in Harlem. This one's a Smithsonian affiliate, so you know it's legit. And it's right off of Malcolm X Boulevard. If you want to learn more about that jazz, this is a place to be. All right, next up for this Harlem guide, we are doing soul food. Now, I want to make a little note about this. I'm going to SYLVIA'S, which is probably the most famous soul food restaurant in Harlem and probably New York. But all these soul food restaurants, most of the ones here in Harlem that are famous, so there's SYLVIA'S, there's a place called Red Roosters and Amy Ruth's. These are all kind of in the same price range. The food is not cheap. It's supposed to be super high quality, super delicious, but the food in no way, shape, or form is cheap. It's gonna cost you about 18 bucks for chicken and waffles, and another sat is probably like $6 or $9 for like macaroni and cheese. So it's expensive, it packs a punch, but we're gonna take one for the team because we're doing a guide, and honestly I haven't eaten anything yet. I'm pretty hungry. I've been walking around for like 3 hours, so I'm ready to have some delicious soul food. So inside SYLVIA'S I had macaroni and cheese, biscuits, and chicken and waffles. To start with the macaroni and cheese, it was absolutely incredible, super cheesy. The cheese was kind of burnt in some places, making it a little crispy, a little crunchy. It was so soft and delicious and oily. And the biscuits were super soft and sweet and delicious, and they were the perfect size. They weren't too big, too small. I loved them. With some butter on top, it made it even better. And then the chicken and waffles. Oh my God, the chicken and waffles. There's something about soul food that makes you feel really filled and warm and yummy and just delicious on the inside. The way the fried chicken was seasoned was fantastic. And the waffles with the maple syrup, so soft and delicious and buttery. And that maple syrup isn't too sweet. It's not super sugary, so it doesn't, you know, make you just taste like a sugar bomb. It was absolutely delicious. All the flavors kind of complement each other really well. So I highly recommend trying some of SYLVIA'S soul food. All right, so another one of our spots here in Harlem is the Harlem Hospital Center. Now, hopefully you never have to actually go to the hospital here, but there is a beautiful mural that has been kind of transposed into glass and put both on the inside and the outside of the building, so you can come take a look at it. It's really, really beautiful. It's this giant piece of art just placed here on the hospital. So if you happen to walk by, and right next to it is another really cool site here in Harlem. Alrighty, so where I've come to now is called the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, and it is pretty much like the center to learn about African-American history and current African-American culture within the United States and abroad. It's a really cool place to come check out. It's definitely an ode to the African-American community here in Harlem and in New York and in the United States. So they have a really cool gift shop in there where you can buy some things that are related to African-American culture when it comes to books and jewelry and clothes and all kinds of things like that. Definitely something worth checking out, especially if you're touring here in the area and you want to learn more about the culture. So Schomburg Center is a go. All right, I am now heading off to South Harlem, to kind of South Central Harlem. We are going to explore some even more cool things. I'm hopping on the subway now from 135th Street to 116th Street. Another awesome location here in Harlem. This is something that I think is probably the top thing I wanted to do since I got here. This thing is called the Malcolm SHABAZZ Market here in Harlem, and it's basically a fully functioning, or I guess as close can be to like an African cultural market. There's clothes, there's jewelry, there's musical instruments, there's food. It should be really, really exciting to go in there and see all this stuff. I'm a sucker for markets like this, especially when they're very authentic to the peoples that are living here. And so if you want to get kind of that African style market, this will be the place to go. Malcolm SHABAZZ Market. I'm super excited for this. This is Idris. I just bought a drum from him, and we just kind of finagled it onto my backpack somehow for the last hour. I bought this as a present for my friend, and I have to go all the way back to Brooklyn, but I have a few hours before I leave Harlem. And we just rigged it to the backpack in the stupidest looking way. But we got it, we have a drum now. Alrighty, so we have started working our way down Harlem now. We are going to go into the East Harlem area. East Harlem has also been dubbed Spanish Harlem, and that's because of the mass amounts of Puerto Rican immigrants that live there. So where we were in Central Harlem, a lot of African Americans, and where we're going to now is more Puerto Ricans, and everything is going to turn very Latino style in a little bit, so I'm excited to see it. This is a little bonus for you guys, really not an important one. Angel wings, you can find these all over the world, but there's one here under the East 111th Street Bridge, kind of where the subway station is. I don't really care for it. I don't think it's that interesting, but a lot of people like to take Instagram pictures there, so I'm mentioning it. Angel wings, if you want them, you got them. So I'm in the area right now dubbed as Machito Square. Now this isn't necessarily a tourist area. I mean, there's not gonna be any landmarks for you to see or any museums for you to visit here. Well, there's actually a few spots, but they're not exactly here. Machito Square is basically where Mamba, Afro-Cuban, Caribbean, Latin music was kind of created. You'll find tons of Cuban, Puerto Rican restaurants all over the place here. And it's just a place that the demographic has clearly changed to more of a Latin one. And this is a place where you kind of want to get your Spanish vibe of Harlem. You can come kind of spend that time here. But once again, there's not much to do. By all means, if you're coming and you want to really get the vibe of local Harlem, this is the place to be. All right, so what we have behind me is actually really, really cool. This is called the Harlem Graffiti Hall of Fame. And it's one little wall here on the back of a high school that has basically the letters of Harlem with a bunch of different art inside of it. Super, super awesome. This is a really cool piece of graffiti art. Harlem and New York City in general is filled with a lot of street art, a lot of graffiti and stuff, but this is actually incredible. It's probably one of the most impressive pieces I've seen so far. Because I really want you guys to experience this awesome piece of art. Here's each letter individually. Here's the H, the A, the R, the L, the E, and the M. That's awesome. Alrighty, we are almost done here with this tour of Harlem. We have just made it to the Harlem side of Central Park. The overviewing area here is the Harlem Mirror and then Fort Clinton, which are two really, really cool places to come and hang out in Central Park. And these are, once again, the Harlem parts of Central Park. So you got that amazing view from the top of Fort Clinton and the Harlem Mirror, which is kind of one of Harlem's little body of water. We got one more site now after this, and then we are officially done with our Harlem guide. Our last location is indeed a museum, because we're here on 5th Ave, also known as Museum Mile. So basically this kind of part of 5th Avenue is just full of museums. And if you just walk it all the way down, there's museums on every corner. All right, so our final location is El Museo del Barrio, which is basically a museum that's just dedicated to Latin culture and music here in Harlem. It is our final stop because it's a museum. I'm not gonna go in because I'm absolutely exhausted. I've been walking around Harlem for the last like 5 hours. So I'm done here. But if you guys wanna learn more about the Latin culture from pre-Columbian time all the way to modern era, it's right in here. I add this in as a bonus because I guess I forgot one more museum. This is a museum of the city of New York. If you guys wanna check it out, it's a museum about the city of New York. So make sure that if you guys enjoyed this, you subscribe and turn those notifications so you don't miss a single video. And you guys should come check out Harlem. And I'm really exhausted, so give me a little subscribe. If you want to support this channel, you can buy some of my merchandise down in the description below or on screen right now. And follow me on Instagram so you keep up with the updates. I'm gonna leave you guys here. We got one more episode left of our Manhattan series before we're done with Manhattan. So keep an eye out for that one. And that's all I have to say. I love you guys a long time. Goodbye, Clats.